This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. Interviewing musicians, comedians, sports personalities, and many, many other individuals all over the world, sharing their story of encouragement, inspiration, what they've been through, what they've gone through, as well as amazing musicians from all over the world. Kick back and relax. For some amazing people you probably have never heard of and their story. Each of us have a story of hope, of courageousness, of inspiration. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one-on-one podcast. It's always about encouraging others. This is Thomas Kavanagh and Kirstie Kraus. Who am I going to love?
Seek what you won't find. What's right before your eyes. The one who's gonna feel all those lonely nights. Are you looking just like me? Or are you blinded by your big dreams? Are you a rock star in a shower? Or an angel in your sleep? Do you like the sunrise or the night? Do you curse under your breath when things are going right? It's always been playing in the mind. Who am I gonna love? Who's gonna be enough? Not just somebody, but someone. Who's gonna be the first to take me at my worst and make me better than I was? Who am I gonna love?
Have you passed me on the street? Said hello to me. Eat pineapple on pizza. Do you drink your whiskey neat? Do you like the quiet on the Broadway lights? Playing it all out or just roll the dice? It's always been playing on my mind. Who am I gonna love? Who's gonna be enough? Not just somebody, but someone. Who's gonna be the first to take me at my worst and make me better than I was? Who am I gonna love?
Who am I gonna love?
Who's gonna be enough?
Not just somebody, but someone. Who's gonna be the first to take me at my worst and make me better than I was? Who am I gonna love? Who's gonna be enough? Not just somebody, but someone. Who's gonna be the first to take me at my worst and make me better than I was? Who am I gonna
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. Here we are with another exciting episode, an exciting interview as well. I'm excited for my guest to be on. How many times do you say excited and excited? Well, I am excited. I reach out to people, I'm guessing hundreds of people all over the world to be guests on this podcast, and sometimes I have to pinch myself several times where I get responses from people that I assumed their schedules were overly booked or they're already busy and just didn't have time. But when I received confirmation from my guest today, I was just excited beyond belief, because I've watched him all over TikTok and social media. I've seen videos of his as he is inspiring kids and people all around the world. He has got his own TV show. He's a comedian, a musician, and the most requested motivational speaker in America today. He has been on shows like NBC and CBS and ABC and Fox, just to name a few. And as well as radio stations all over the United States, sharing his story, sharing encouragement to kids in schools. He has performed for over 4 million people all around the world. He has shared the stages with performers like Paula Abdul, Skillet, Toby Mac, and many, many others. I am in total awe and having him on today, and I hope and pray our time together will be able to encourage, inspire, and motivate someone out there. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Tom Coverly, here on the Chit and Chat Encouraging One Another podcast.
Hey,
Jody. How you doing,
been?
man?
I'm good.
Man, I am good. I am in the middle of nowhere, USA right now. So I hope that we have service the entire time.
Well, if not, it's on God's hand. We'll figure it out.
That is it, man. Well, I'm excited to be on. I appreciate it, man.
I'm just really jacked to get you on and talk. We dive into some fun conversations. I want to pray for you and your dad. I know he's fighting some health issues. What's your dad's name?
John, I appreciate that, man.
John. So I'm gonna lift him up in prayer real quick. And I don't normally do it, but it's on my heart today to do it. So it's, Father God, thank you for this time today with Tom Coverly. I just thank you for his heart and sharing it to all the kids and just his passion. I want to pray for his dad, John, and his health, and just help him each and every day. And thank you for our time. And Kraus, let me pray. Amen.
Amen.
This podcast is all about others, uplifting conversations, and dude, you are bleeding encouragement, man.
I appreciate that, man. I try.
And this portion of the little icebreaker question, this portion is brought to you by Tequiza. I throw some icebreaker questions at my guest. 3. What food do you really like that others might think is a little odd?
Man, they may not think it's odd because they probably never heard of it, but there's a thing called panzerottis. Have you ever heard of it?
No, sir.
See what I mean? Panzerottis are, oh my goodness. They originated in New Jersey, if I'm correct, on that. And man, how do I describe a panzerotti? Basically, if you took a calzone,
Okay.
which is not the greatest description, but if you took a calzone that was just filled with cheese and maybe some pepperoni, you know, a calzone might have some ricotta in or something like that, but a panzerotti would just be like a calzone basically with just cheese in it. And then if you took that thing, instead of baking it, and you deep fried it, my goodness, man, I can't even describe the goodness. It's just so good, man, and it's so not good for you.
Arkansas, I had a lot of things fried as a kid, so
That is all. I'm in Arkansas right now, man.
all right. Where at?
I am in a little town called Nashville right now.
Okay. Camden, 2 hours south.
I just went through that area.
Oh,
All right, I just went through there.
Go Hogs. So great timing. Question number 2. What commercial jingle you just can't get rid of?
Man, to be honest, I don't I never watch commercials, man. I barely watch them during the Super Bowl, man. Commercials Yeah, I'm bad at answering that one because I ignore commercials. I'm really bad at it, man. And
It's all
that's like
good.
my time to get up and go stretch, go get a snack, go get a Panzerotti.
There you go.
um, yeah. So no, the commercial. I have no idea, man.
Number three, what motivates you every day?
Man, what motivates me every day? The fact that God's given me breath, man, to live. I'm 50 years old, and, I was told a decade ago that I probably wouldn't make it long past 50. So I'm grateful to be alive, man. Every day I wake up, and I started doing this January 1st of this year, where I started waking up, and every single morning, the first thing that will literally say out loud are blessings, man, of just things I'm blessed, that God blesses me with. It could be the littlest things, man. And when you start your day that way, it's just amazing how it just drives your entire day in a good way.
Yeah, yeah. See, you grew up in Camden, New Jersey. Give a little bio about yourself, born and raised, etc.
Yeah, so Camden, New Jersey. If anybody here, you were like Camden, Arkansas. I'm Camden, New Jersey, and Camden, New Jersey is right across the bridge from Philadelphia. A very rough city. It's been on the top 5 list of the worst cities in America, back when I was a kid, and it still is today. But I spent my early elementary years there. Then we moved about 20 minutes or so outside of Camden. Um, that was my upbringing, man. And then fast forward all the way to life today. I am happily married to a beautiful woman. Her name is Tiffany. April 1st, April Fool's Day, believe it or not, is our anniversary. Um, and we will be married 6 years on April 1st. So super excited about that. We have 3 kids. I have a 24-year-old daughter. She is married and living in Pensacola with her husband, and a 22-year-old son. He lives in Pensacola as well. He just moved out of the household. And so got his first little apartment. And then we have a little 10-year-old, and we're a blended family. And so have a little 10-year-old, and we homeschool Annika. We call her Annie, and we homeschool her and take her on the road with us full time.
Awesome. You in a bad direction. So, someone positive truth. Can you share about that a little bit?
Absolutely, man. I mean, anytime you grow up in a city that it's just hard, man. It makes life tough, right? But my parents always set great morals for us, even though they were not, Christians, they were not believers. My parents just tried to instill good morals in us, but it's easy to just head down a wrong path, right? Fast forward to my middle school years. I was invited out to church for the very first time, and this lady worked with my mom, and she said, "Hey, why don't your boys come on out to the church? There's an event going on at the church for teenagers. Why don't they come on out?" And I asked her, I said, "Are there going to be girls there?" She said, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I'm going to church." So to be honest, that was the only reason I went, man. I knew nothing about church. And make a long story short, I got there, and I'm looking around, and it's the first time I remembered being in church, as a kid, and looking around, and I felt like it was on a movie set, right? I've seen churches on TV, but never in person. And then I sat down, and this pastor got up, this youth pastor, and he had a Bible in his hand. And it was the first time I remember seeing a Bible in my life. And the pastor started to read from it, and he said 2 words I'll never forget the rest of my life. And he said, "Jesus Christ." And when he said Jesus Christ, Jody, I literally leaned next to this guy next to me, and I said, "I don't know anything about church, but you can't swear in church." that pastor just cursed, man. He said, Jesus Christ, you can't say that. And he started laughing. And he's like, that's not a curse word. And I'm like, what? And he's like, man, that's God's son. And I go,
Mm.
God has a kid? Like this blew my mind. Because I heard of God, but I never heard about Jesus Christ. So make a long story short, man, that night I went up to that pastor. I said, man, tell me more about this Jesus. And I surrendered my life to God that night. And it's drastically changed my life, right? It's we'll get into it later in this podcast, but there's, opportunities that I have in speaking in schools and, events that aren't faith-based events. And I don't always get to share my faith, but it's a huge driving point in my life that drastically changed my life and turned my life around.
So I'm guessing when someone said, "Hey Tom, why?" Story, you're like,
Yeah, I mean, it's because I was impacted as a kid, right? And we know that when you can impact a kid before we become adults, and adults have their mind made up, right? For the most part, right? It's hard to take an adult and turn their mind around sometimes because we're so set in our ways. But if you can reach kids where they're at such a young age, that begins to just mold their thinking, right? Like all of us, every single adult, you think back to our childhood, there's something good or bad in our childhood that kind of molded our thinking today.
How many excuses did you come up with about being a speaker? A few thousand?
Oh man, yeah, man. I'll fast forward to the time that because I was a youth pastor for about a dozen years at non-denominational churches and things like that. And after youth pastoring, because I didn't grow up in the church, I always had a heart for the down and outer. I always had a heart for the people that aren't in church, right? The people that maybe most people give up on, or most people go, oh man, they made this mistake and that mistake. And they kind of just push them to the side. And I realized, man, the kids that we're called to reach, they're not breaking down the doors anytime soon to get in church. So I went to a pastor friend of mine and I said, hey, can you pray about what it is that I should do? I just feel like God is calling me, man, outside the four walls of this church. Now, saying that, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge supporter of the local church, right? But I felt like for my ministry and the direction that I wanted to go, I felt like God was taking me in a different direction. And he came to me and he said, Tom, I prayed about it. And he goes, you're a great communicator, man. I've watched you speak and preach, and you're awesome at it. And then his other exact words, he goes, and you have this stupid talent doing magic tricks. And he said, have you ever thought about combining the two together for a way of reaching people? And I said, man, can I be honest with you? I think that is the corniest idea I ever heard. I said, that is stupid. And he goes, man, you asked me to pray about it. He goes, I think that's the direction you should go. And I said, man, all right, this is what I'll do. And he goes, he was telling me, put together a website, start with your connection of pastors around the country, and just kind of watch what God does, man. And bro, getting back to your question, every excuse you can imagine, right? When it came to the speaking, I'm like, man, I'm a youth pastor, right? I'm speaking to teenagers, but not on any big scale or anything like that. And so I'm like, there's better speakers out there. I kind of stutter over my words, and I didn't feel like I was the best speaker. Now, just to rewind a little bit, back in college, I even had a professor that told me in Bible college, he told me, he pulled me to the side and he said, Tom, like, maybe like speaking in so many words, I can't remember exactly. He wasn't trying to be cruel. He was just kind of basically trying to say, this isn't maybe the path that you should be going on. Like, you're not the best speaker out there, And he was just trying to like put me in a different direction, right? I mean, I don't think he had a bad motive in saying it. Maybe it wasn't the best thing to tell someone, but you know what it did, man? It made me want to work harder. When I was in college, we didn't have the internet to go looking stuff up and watch YouTube videos. But what it did was it made me get in the library. And for a guy that don't love reading books, man, it made me want to read everything I could
Mm.
on being a public speaker, on being a better speaker. And I took every opportunity I could to speak at events, whether that was, man, it didn't matter if it was a nursing home, whatever. Like I was taking every opportunity I get. They'd be falling asleep while I was speaking, but it was like it gave me an opportunity, man. And my goal was, I was like, man, I'm going to be a better speaker than anybody on this college, not in any kind of arrogant way, right? It was a matter of I got told that I really stink at this, and so I'm gonna turn that around. And bro, I paid for other classes. Like I was paying college on my own. And
Mm.
what it made me do was I took other speech classes, other speaking classes. I was taking extra classes above and beyond what I needed because I wanted to be a better speaker. But fast forward back to that pastor telling me that, I still had excuses, right? I still didn't feel like I was the best speaker in the world. But he saw something different in me, right? And I thought even when it came to the magic was just a hobby of mine, right? Like doing magic tricks for kids at lunch tables at schools and then inviting them out to youth group, and so it was just a hobby of mine. And I never would have thought and imagined in a million years that that would be something I would do today. And it makes me think back to Moses and God asking Moses, what's in your hand? And what did Moses say? He said a staff, a rod, right? And he didn't ask Moses that question because God didn't know the answer. God knew the answer, but he asked him anyway, what's in your hand? And what's in your hand? And he said a staff. And that staff represented two things: his identity and his influence. His
Mm-hmm.
identity was he was a shepherd. His influence was he um, um, was over sheep, right? And and what did God say? Throw it on the ground, Moses.
Mm-hmm.
Throw it on the ground. I want you to go speak to people, Moses. I want you to go speak over people. And Moses said in the word of God, it tells us he had every excuse, right? He
Mm-hmm.
was like, man, I stutter over my words. I'm not the best speaker. And God said, throw that staff down. That's what represents you. Throw it down. And when he threw it down, crazy awesome things happen, right? And God said, now I want you to go lead people. Moses, I'm asking you, who gave you your mouth? And you have excuses, but Moses, if I created that mouth, then I can give you the words to say.
Mm.
I can give you the right words, because it's not about you, Moses. It's about what I want to do through you. And I see potential in you. And bro, it makes me think of uh, this pastor friend of mine that said, man, I see potential in this, Tom. I see you have every excuse with speaking and with magic. And there's other magicians who are maybe better than you, or maybe they have more money wrapped up in magic tricks and illusions. But I want to use you. Tom, take your speaking, take your magic tricks, and lay it down before God and watch what God will do. And this is to pat God on the back, Jody. In the very first year, I take zero credit. I'm telling you, I'm patting God on the back. In the very first year, I was in 38 states speaking and performing.
Wow.
That is credit to God, because I thought it was a dumb idea. And that was 17 years ago. Last month was 17 years.
God's open doors for you continually. Speaking to teenagers, schools, nursing homes. When someone comes to see you, what do they expect to see when they see Tom Coverly in person?
Man, it just depends, right? I do all kinds of different events. So I speak in middle schools and high schools. That's what I'm doing here in Arkansas. I just flew in. I was up in Minneapolis doing an event for the American Heart Association, raising some money for them. And then I took a plane, just landed in Arkansas, and speaking in schools. So I speak in middle schools, high schools on bullying and suicide prevention. And again, I don't share my faith. I don't want anybody to be confused watching this. Like, I don't hint around about my faith. I don't say anything about it. I just love on students, right? I just talk to them about respecting themselves, respecting others. We're a bullying prevention assembly that doesn't even mention the word bullying, because that word is overused and it's misused so much today. And I want to get to the root cause, right? There's a lot of speakers that'll come in and they're talking about that word in kids' ears. They just turn it off right away. I want to hit the root cause, and the root cause comes down to respecting yourself and respecting others. So in the schools, that's what I'm talking about. When I do, a lot of times what we'll do is do an evening show, and we invite the community, the parents, and everybody back at nighttime. And it gives me a chance to put on a full hour comedy magic show, just entertain them. And then at the very end, it gives me a chance to speak to that community in that school district and bring a message of unity to that community. Because we all know when it comes to some of the issues our kids are facing today, right? It all starts at home. Those things need to be driven home. And that's why it's important for me to put on those events at home. Summertime, I do a lot of big Christian music festivals. I'll MC, I'll speak, I'll perform at those. My show, my comedy magic show, is not like big stage illusions or anything like that. My stick has kind of been taking what most people would consider street magic or close up magic
Mm-hmm.
and making it play big on stage. So that means with the volunteers I'm bringing up on stage, or some of the props that I'm using to try to make it seem like something that you can do in front of a huge audience. And I have performed anywhere from 100 people, and, to the biggest crowd I ever did was about 75,000 people.
Wow. Do you remember your first speaking engagement, when and where it was?
Um, I don't, but yeah, quite a few years ago. I can tell you, I remember my first big speaking engagement at a huge Christian music festival.
Mm.
And that was in Atlanta, Georgia. It was up on Stone Mountain. If you've never been to Stone Mountain, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's like you got the Atlanta area, which is kind of flat for the most part, a little bit of hills, right? Um, but then you have this huge boulder that God planted out in the middle of nowhere, close to Atlanta, and you can see the city from there, and it's flat at the top. You take a ski lift up top. There's other parts of it. It's gorgeous, but there was a huge festival going on there. And I'll never forget getting asked to speak. The director of the festival called me and said, Tom, excuse me, we're looking for another speaker. And said, we have William Paul Young. He's the guy that wrote the book The Shack years ago, a New York bestseller. We have William Paul Young speaking. We have Mark Hall from Casting Crowns. We have Nick Vujicic.
Yep.
If you've never heard him speak, he's incredible. The guy born with no
Incredible,
arms
yeah.
and no legs. Yeah, oh my goodness, incredible. And they said, we're looking for one more. Will you be another speaker? And bro, I took that phone away from my, and I said, let me pray about it. I took that phone away from my mouth and ear, and I'm like, God, I think this is it. And I went back and said, yes, I will do it. I will do it. Because I had already been praying about it. What that festival actually didn't even know was I sent them something months prior, and then they kind of turned me down and were like, hey, we just, we don't really have a budget, and, that kind of stuff. And what it came down to is we don't know who you are. Because I was new on the scene at this point, right? I was brand new and nobody knew who I was. And what happened was it wasn't from me submitting stuff, because I already got turned down. It was someone else sent them something of me speaking and said, you got to get this guy to the festival. And props to that person. I don't know who that person is. And from that point, that's when the huge festival world opened up for me, to speak at all these events. And then that unfolded into speaking at big youth conferences across the country. And just been unbelievable.
I had a chance to interview Jessica Cox, a very inspirational speaker, and she has no
Awesome.
arms, and she has been motivating people all over the world. And she has removed "I can't" from her vocabulary.
I love that.
And you just started your new TV show too. Can you share about that? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm so pumped about that. It's called Influenced with a D. But it's spelt influenced with no vowels. Like if you took the word influenced and took out every single vowel, that's the name of the show. So it's NFLNCD, influence. And influence is basically a show that is taking the biggest social media stars on the planet and bringing them into the studio, and I'm the host of the show and I get to interview them. So if you think, I tell people, picture the studio is set up like this. Picture MTV's Ridiculousness, if you've ever seen that show, where they're highlighting different videos and things like that, funny videos or stunt videos that go wrong or anything like that, right? Stuff with animals, whatever it is. If you take that show and kind of mix it with, say, Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, we're highlighting a lot of videos, but it gives us a chance to interview these social media influencers. The cool part is it's not even about the influencer. It's about who influenced them.
Yes.
And then who they're influencing, the impact that they're making on people's lives that follow them. Hollywood, actors, I think, still just kind of are dumbfounded by the success of social media influencers, because there's a lot of social media influencers that have more followers than A-list celebrities that you watch in the biggest movies. And the reason that is, people, I boil it down to this, is social media influencers are going live every single day, or they're posting content about their everyday life, right? We don't always see that from celebrities, right? Unless they're on a Jimmy Fallon or some kind of late night talk show, and they're kind of just sharing a little one or two stories, about something going on in their world or about their kids or their family. But we don't really hear a whole lot about their individual lives unless they're making the tabloids, right? Or something like that. Influencers, social media influencers, are being real with their lives every single day. If you go on any of their lives, whether that's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, or they're interacting with their followers, right? They're interacting with everyday people and just being real. And that's why they have tens of millions more, I think, than most, A-list celebrities. Not all of them, but most of them. So it's just unbelievable, man. We're just going to dig into their lives. Nothing like this has ever been done in a TV show format. And so we're excited to pioneer that. You have some podcasts, some video podcasts that interview big celebrities and things like that, or social media people. But nothing in a TV show format when it comes to social media people. And I'm excited about it. I'm honored. I'm literally in a pinch me moment of life that I get to host this show. It's a dream of mine. I've been wanting to be a talk show host for decades, man. I've always wanted to do it. And I told you earlier, I'm 50 years old. Like it's something that I almost gave up on. Like, it'll never happen. And it was just it just fell into my lap. And I'm excited about it. I can't wait. Actually, as soon as I get back this weekend, when I fly back home, I'll be in the studio and we'll be shooting the next couple episodes.
Encouraged you, or perhaps inspired you to do what you do day in and day out? I watched you. I see you on TikTok. I came across you on TikTok. I followed you, and your heart and your passion is raw and true. Your love for kids. How did that come about with you?
Oh man. Who influences me when it comes to magicians? There's a guy, he's no longer living. He just recently passed away. His name's the Amazing Jonathan. Um, Jonathan, incredible human being, man. And just one of the funniest guys that I know. Um, he had a show in Vegas forever, probably for a couple decades. He's toured the world doing his show, and just hilarious, man. I love his humor. His show isn't even like doing magic tricks per se. It's just a lot of comedy in it more than it is magic tricks. And people that watch my show, that's my show, right? Let me backtrack. There's magicians who can play a song, and maybe in a song they're doing a handful of tricks, right? Maybe they did 5 tricks, 10 tricks, whatever in a song. Like they're just making things appear and disappear, and they're doing all kinds of stuff and flashy stuff and making it all happen like in a song or two, right? I'm the type of person that my show is very audience interactive. The audience is a huge part of the show, whether they're sitting down or they're on stage as a volunteer. They're constantly involved in the show. And so it might take me 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes to do a trick, to do one trick. So in an hour, you're not seeing many tricks, but you're laughing your head off the whole time. So I like to tell people my show is a whole lot of comedy with a little bit of magic. So in the magic world, that's who inspires me. In the speaker world, um, man, I won't narrow down to one person. There are just so many incredible people that I just love listening to them speak, and the impact and things that they're making. I have so many other friends, man, who are just, they're out there making a difference, and they're out there on the front lines every single day speaking, whether it's to teenagers or to adults or at corporate events, and they're impacting people with their lives. And so I can't name one when it comes to a speaker, man. There's just way too many.
Have you gotten back from people who have attended your show? Kind of, what you do a one-on-one at the end, kind of meet and greet. Any story that stick out to you that the words or a story you share with somebody really hit them in the heart?
Man, there are so many. Let me just say this. This is my favorite time, my favorite part of doing an event is the time afterwards when I'm doing a meet and greet, when people are lined up they're lined up to get an autograph or to take a picture. Like I look at it that, man, you're lined up so that I can get in your world. I want to hear your story. I want to get to know you. And that's hard to do when you have, a whole line of people. Sometimes I'm signing autographs and stuff for an hour and a half after a show, just because I will take the time and I want to get to know every single person that comes through that line, whether that's hearing something that's on their mind for, 30 seconds or spending, 2 or 3 minutes with them. It's a chance to hear what's going on in their world. After a school assembly, I had a high school girl come up to me and she said, "Tom, the only reason I came to school today was because I wanted to say goodbye to my friends. I wanted to secretly say goodbye. My friends have no idea that last night I wrote a suicide note, and after school today, I planned on taking my life."
Mm.
Oh man, Jody. It rocked me, man. Tears flowing down her face, and she's telling me this. And she said, Tom, because of what you said, it gave me hope. It gave me purpose. I realized that I was believing all the illusions, all the lies that you talked about in the school assembly. My school assembly is called Destroy Illusions. I want to destroy the illusions and lies that kids are believing about themselves or maybe about others. And she said, Tom, I believe so many illusions, so many lies. But today, you not just destroyed those illusions and lies, but you spoke truth and reality to who I am and the purpose that I have. And I'm choosing to live. I'm choosing life. And I said, tonight, I'm doing the community event. I'm doing the family show. I said, will you come back tonight? And bro, she came back that night with her mom. And her mom had in her hand the suicide note crumbled up into a ball in her hand. And that mom gave me a hug that I will never forget the rest of my life. I have chills going down my entire body right now, just thinking about that moment of that mom. I sobbing. I couldn't understand a word she said except for just saying thank you, thank you, thank you over and over again. And she said, because you're here, because the timing of God having you here today, my daughter's alive. And that is something I'll never forget the rest of my life.
I tagged you on my post today, and we'll be airing this in a little few weeks. But your video, you're in a room destroying it, and all these hateful words on the wall. Me chills because a lot of adults don't. We kind of hold those feelings inside. We don't share the struggle we're going through. I'm a dad. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. We don't show our feelings or where I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that video was like, whoo, that's powerful.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it was a old, just to those listening that just to give them an idea so they can go watch it. There was an old school that was about to be torn down. And I had this idea in my mind, but obviously it was hard to make in a school setting. But the timing of this school being torn down, they gave me access to this room, a classroom. And in the classroom, there were still chairs. There was still everything set up, the desk, everything in there. And so I went in there with spray can, and I just was spraying over the desk and the walls and the cabinets, just words that people are called, right? Name calling. And I went in there with a sledgehammer and this was just kind of just a metaphor basically of me pulling up to a school. It shows me getting out of my vehicle and pulling up to a school and walking in with a sledgehammer and destroying the words all over that room. And I'm busting everything with a word on it. The cabinets, the desk, and everything. And it gave me a chance. And at one point in the video, you see that I sit down at the desk and I take magazines, right? Because our kids, and not just kids, there's adults who are believing the illusion and lie that you have to look like the cover of a magazine in order to feel beautiful, in order to feel good enough. And so you see me there, take those magazines, and I'm like painting all over them and just blanking them out. And that's me then writing with a Sharpie, with the word perfect across it, because that's not perfection what you see in a magazine.
No.
They were created perfect just the way that they are, but our society has done people a disjustice in telling them that somehow you have to measure up to the cover of a magazine in order to feel beautiful or good enough. And so that whole video is just obviously from my school assemblies to every school out there that's listening. I don't go in busting stuff up in your school. But that's what I do when I speak, right? I want to destroy the illusions and lies kids are believing about life.
Yeah.
and replace it with truth.
It,
Years ago, I did just real quick, I did an event. It was a red carpet event, and Cindy Crawford, it was an event for her. And I was telling her about my school assembly, and she said, Tom, I wish that I looked like Cindy Crawford. Think about that for a moment. You have one of the most popular supermodels, right, in our day and age, that was big back, years ago for us,
yep.
and still popular today, even though she's not modeling today. And here she is saying that she wishes that she looked like the cover of her magazines. Why does she say that? Because she knows she was in the studio all day long with thousands of pictures taken of her. Not one or two pictures like we do with our cell phone and then find the best one, put a quick little filter on it, and then upload it to social media. Thousands of pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, we take thousands of pictures, brother, and we're bound to find one good one of each of us, right? And then imagine taking that one photo that looks great, right, from a good angle, and editing that thing. And they're not just editing that photo for a couple clicks. They're editing that photo sometimes for weeks and months before you ever see it on the cover of a magazine.
Yeah.
And so no wonder so many people are believing the illusion and lie that you have to look like the cover of a magazine. They're believing that that's perfection. No wonder so many kids are people dealing with eating disorders, or so many that are ready to give up on this gift called life because they're measuring their worth, their value by a lie. And so that's where I get a chance to present truth and reality to who they really are.
Yes. And I use on this podcast several times, we get our dreams are bullied. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't speak. You can't do. You can do whatever you want to do. Just go for it.
That's true. It's true.
And we get dreams are bullied. Put our shield on. Oh, I can't build a company. I can't. And this pound on.
Yeah, it's so true, man. There's a lot of people with amazing talent that are literally sitting on that talent, man. For whatever reason, because people have told them that they're just not that great at it, or somehow they just don't have the confidence, right? And I can't encourage people enough that are listening to this, whether they believe in the same God that we believe in, or they don't believe in God at all. I just want to encourage them to take what they're good at. Take that thing that's their love, their passion, even if they don't think they're good at it, their biggest passion, the things maybe it's a hobby they enjoy doing. Maybe they're working their 9 to 5 and they come home on the weekend and they spend time in this hobby. They're good at that for a reason, right? We're all not good at the same things, right? There are people that are great at something, and you're not great at that just because you're great at it. You're great at that because, whether you believe it or not, God made you great at that. And he wants to use that in your life. And he wants to use that because he wants to use that to touch other people's lives. And so I encourage people to just lay it down and go, man, what do I do with this? And never underestimate it. And I've done so many events with so many different people, so many different talents, that I watch the way that they're being used to impact other people's lives. I'll never forget, I did an event with a guy. It was at the Texas Motor Speedway in Texas, and there were a stadium full of people, and there was a volleyball net set up. And this guy is a one-man volleyball guy, one-man team. And this guy would stand on the other side and he would call out a bunch of high school players that play volleyball to go stand on the other side of the net and play a quick game and beat them. And then he calls some people from college that play on the other side and beat them. And then I watched him say, here's what we're going to do. I want, if you Maybe you're not on no team, but you play really good or whatever you think that you're great at. I need 100 people to go stand on the other side of the net. 100 people. I watched him beat 100 people on the other side of that net. And he got on the microphone and he impacted people's lives
Mm.
with the words that he had to say. Now,
Yeah.
what did God give him? What was his gift? His gift was his love for volleyball, right? And he became so good at it that he just used that as a way of impacting people's lives. I'll never forget, I did an event with a guy. He's been all over every late night talk show. This guy hurdles cars like you would in track and field doing hurdles, but he's lining up cars. He lined up 3 cars. And literally, I watched him take a running start and leap over the first car without touching the car. I'm
Wow.
not talking long ways, just short ways, but that's still a big leap if you can picture that. Leaped over the car, took 1 or 2 steps, leaped over the next car, 1 or 2 steps, leaped over the next car. At the end, on the other side was a microphone. And this was a faith based event. And I watched that guy just share his love for Jesus Christ
Mm.
to this crowd. What did God give him? What's his love? What's his passion? He gave him his legs, man. They're
Yeah.
unbelievable, right? His love for track and field. And, I have a lot of friends across the country, and they're part of these like strength teams, right? Who bend poles and frying pans in half and, or they're ripping telephone books. And what did God give them? I kid with them, I say this from a distance with them. I'm like, God didn't give you brains, but he gave you strength, and then I run after I say it. And so, no, what did God give them? Their love for fitness, right? And they're just big dudes who are just, have a love for that kind of stuff. And then they get on the microphone and share their heart and passion. You never underestimate. It could be your love for cooking. I have a buddy right now that's on Gordon Ramsay's new show that they just premiered after the
Oh,
Super Bowl, and he has a love for cooking, and he's got several million followers, man.
that's cool.
And just incredible, right? And he just uses that as a way of impacting people's lives, and we can go down the list, man. So those that are listening, take your talent, take that thing that you have a love for,
Mm.
and go find ways to use it.
What is your the next 5-10 years?
Man, my goal. Man, in life, my bucket list, I got a lot of check marks next to my bucket list. I've done just about every single thing I want to be able to do. If I have a goal, it's just to continue to reach millions more, man.
Yeah.
That's it. Not for the sake of look at Tom Coverley do that, but for the sake of saying, man, look at the platform that he's on because he's using that as a way of impacting other people's lives. I
Amen.
want to leave a legacy in this world, man. When I was a little boy, I have 3 other brothers. There's 4 Coverley boys and no sisters. My mama knew whose footprints were on the floor when we left footprints. We knew who was getting yelled at because mom could tell whose footprint it was, right? And so I want to leave a legacy in this world that I'm leaving a footprint when my life is over and I take my final breath on this earth. I want to leave a footprint in such a way that people go, that's Tom Coverley's footprint.
Mm.
Not to pat me on the back. Anybody that knows me knows that's not what I want. I want it for the sake of going, that's his footprint, because it's impacted other people's lives and other people are leaving their footprint on this world because of Tom Coverley impacted their life, right? In some way, in something that I said, something that I did. And again, I credit God. That's all glory to God, man, because I'm nothing without him, right? I just want to be the hands, the feet, the mouthpiece in every avenue that he gives me. And that's whether that's a faith-based event or a non-faith-based event where I can't even share the name of Jesus at that event. That's okay. It gives me a chance to love on people,
Mm.
love them for who they are, One of the biggest things I've become known for on social media is the kindness wins guy, right? That's the hashtag I use all the time. Kindness wins.
Mm-hmm.
Jody, we never lay our head on the pillow at night with regret because we were kind to somebody, right? Maybe they take advantage of us or something like that, or our kindness. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about going out of your way to do something that shows kindness to another human being. And we don't have regret, right? That's such a positive thing. It's such a thing that puts a smile on their face. It puts a smile on our face, right? But we do have regret when we lay our head on the pillow and we overreacted or to a situation, or we said things that, we necessarily didn't mean because we were angry about something. When we respond with grace and love towards others, I'm telling you, there's no regret. So my biggest goal, man, I just want to continue to do this on a greater scale. And this TV show is going to have a way of doing that and other things. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, I'm just getting warmed up, man.
Nice.
At 50 years old, I feel like I'm just starting. I'm just getting up to the finish line. Like I've been rehearsing, I've been practicing, I've been on the sidelines, I've been putting in the hard work, and now I feel like I'm about to enter the race. And so I'm excited, man, for the future.
I'm just ahead of you. How can people find your show and watch your show?
Yeah, the show Influenced. I can't say a whole lot under contract with that, but there'll be a network streaming service, some things where that'll be coming and visible. Right now we're just shooting season 1.
Gotcha.
So they can just right now just go to Influenced on social media, on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. Again, it's Influenced without any of the vowels. My comedy magic show, the motivational speaking, all of that, they can go to tomcoverly.com. And that'll have a link to upcoming tour dates and things like that, and ways that they can bring me out to their venue, whether it's speaking in a corporate event or their school or their church or whatever type of event it might be.
This podcast is all about sharing encouragement, having fun conversations, which we did that today. And I truly believe you have a story and you're making encouragement contagious. I'm beyond blessed today talking with you knowing about you. Just praying for your family and your safety on the road and your heart, and just speak to kids. If you're ever in the Washington State, hook me up. I'll get some coffee. Be on me.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and everybody, literally, that stay tuned at the end. Thanks for listening.
Take care, brother.
Bye.
This is up-and-coming singer Ron Mallow with the song Addicted to Haggard and Jones. He'll be interviewed here in a few weeks here on the Chit and Chat Encouraging One Another podcast.
Needles that I give are worn out from too many hits, but there's no way I'll ever quit. And what's anyone gonna do about it? The man had a good supply. It was easy enough to buy, so I just had to try. But I never knew it could take you this high. Now I'm addicted to Haggard and Jones, and I can't wait to be alone. I'll put some hits in the stereo, then I'll just sit back and listen while they get me stoned. I started feeling strange as it traveled through my veins. It was messing with my brain till the day it drove me insane. What started as a phase has left me in a sit back and listen while they get me stoned. Yeah, I'll just sit back and listen while they get me stoned.
Something about Sundae and Mr. Goessl's music I just love. Here's their song, Might As Well.
I hear train wrecks when I think of you. You're so bad for me, you might be poison. Someone I knew said your heart could be construed as nothing less than treacherous. But your eloquence and mischievous charm keep me away. I thought I was out of love, but I'm still there. Want me, dine me, kiss me and divine me. Might as well, 'cause love is hell. Think of 50 places I'd rather be. If it weren't for the dog, I'd be long gone. Too bad she loves us equally. But your eloquence and mischievous charm are both still there. Oh, I thought I was out of love, but I'm still there. Why me, dine me, kiss me and divine me. Might as well, 'cause love is hell. Oh, might as well, 'cause love is heaven. Oh, might as well, 'cause love is hell.
Craving donuts, craving fresh made daily donuts, Lone Star Donuts. They have over 50 flavors. Sprinkles, no sprinkles, filled, not filled, chocolate, glazed, maple donuts with real bacon, cinnamon rolls. They are so good, so light, and so fluffy. These are not your normal donuts. These are Texas-style donuts. If you know what been to Texas, nothing small in Texas. Go see my friends at Lone Star Donuts, now with 2 locations. One in Silverdale, Washington at 1087 Maury Place. Their phone number is 360-204-5021 in Silverdale, or Port Orchard at 2649 Mile Hill Drive. Their number there is 360-443-2600. You can find them on Facebook as well. Lone Star Donuts. Life is happier with donuts. Donuts from Lone Star Donuts. Are you craving some authentic, fresh Mexican food? I got 2 places for you. Are you ready? You got a pen and paper? 1, Tequila Street. It's a mobile food truck located in Silverdale, Washington at 9571 Silverdale Way. They have some of the best breakfast burritos I've ever eaten. My favorite is the barbecued pulled pork burrito. They have other Mexican items as well, but breakfast burritos are amazing. You can reach them at 360-914-9152. That's Tequila Street. Also, at the Kitsap Mall in Silverdale, Washington, there's Tequila. There, they have over 5 kinds of tacos, burritos, chimichangas, and my favorite there, grilled jalapenos. Delicious. I know, I'm getting you hungry, right? Either Tequila Street or Tequila, and their number at the mall is 360-698-4335. Roberto and his staff are amazing. They're friendly, and their food is delicious. Come on by, check them out. That's Tequila Street at 9571 Silverdale Way in Silverdale, or Tequila at the Kitsap Mall in Silverdale. 360-698-4335. I'm telling you, they got some of the best Mexican food in Kitsap County. It's locally owned and operated and very, very good. See you there. Thanks so much for being part of the podcast today. As I got a chance to interview Tom Coverly, truly an inspirational guy all over the world, sharing encouragement, positivity with kids and schools and different organizations. Just his passion for people is just tremendous, and he has definitely gone places. And he has on TV show, so check him out. Also, I want to thank Thomas Kavanagh and Kirstie Kraus for their song Who Am I Gonna Love? You can check out KirstieKraus.com for more information about her. Sundae Mr. Goessl, their song Might As Well, and you can check out their website at SundayMrGoessl.com as well for upcoming events and what they're doing. And Ron Malloy, who I'll have on a couple of weeks, actually next week I believe, his song Addicted to Haggard Jones. He has some songs on YouTube as well, and those are the musicians I shared today. Thanks again for being part of the podcast. Hope to see you back next week. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one on the podcast. Well, it's always about encouraging others. This is Chit and Chat, the encouraging one another podcast. It's always about encouraging others.